What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, the owner of Formal Fitness Training. We're here with another episode of Coffee with the Trainer. We are joined by none other than Benn Fineman. Benn Fineman is currently the owner of Intuitive Roots, and he's also the fitness program manager at the Factory at Reach. Some of Benn's credentials: he has a BS in kinesiology, where he went to school with me. He has an ACSM certified exercise physiologist, FRC mobility specialist, DV8 kettlebell instructor, and a precision nutrition certified nutrition coach. That's not all of them. Benn got all kinds of certifications, and he's one of the guys that keeps learning and keeps trying to improve his craft. What's up, Benn?
Not much, Mike. Thanks for that great introduction, man. Yeah, definitely always trying to, keep up on all those credentials. It's important to kind of keep expanding your horizons. But thanks for having me on, man. It's great to be here. It's been a while since I've done one of these. So yeah, looking forward to a good conversation, man. It's the first one I've done in quite a while.
Yeah, it's always good to jump on and catch up. It just made me think of a question off the top of my head, though. What are the benefits that you've found over the years in your 12 years plus of personal training and fitness and nutrition coaching, the continuing education? Why do you believe in that so much? Because I think a lot of people need to understand why we take such pride in continuing to learn.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, as you know, the science always changes. That's how we continually keep learning about the human body and all of the processes and how we can best serve people. We got to keep up to date on the research, and what people thought was best practice 20 years ago has most certainly changed in the current atmosphere of everything. So I just think keeping up on the continuing education gives you access to the most up-to-date best information that's available for fitness professionals. And I think you also really need to seek out the organizations that kind of hold that higher standard of really basing their systems around, scientifically backed information, and not just kind of, going off the, thoughts and beliefs of yesteryear. So I think it's really important to just kind of keep up to date with what's going on, and not only the scientific research, but just also the trends of the fitness industry. I think it's important for us to know what people's kind of interests are right now in fitness. It's definitely changed a lot. There's always new modalities coming into the field. Some of them are just around for a little while. Some of them, actually people really resonate with and they stick around for a while. So I think, on the one end, you have that scientific aspect where you really just need to keep up to date with what the current research is saying, as far as human physiology. But on the other end of it, it's just good to know, what people's trends are. I think, with modern lifestyles now, people are a lot busier, and people are looking for, a lot of new and innovative ways to engage their health and fitness. Obviously, this past year, the virtual world's really opened, and a lot of people have kind of been using those mediums to keep up with their fitness. So I think it's just good to kind of know everything that's going on in the industry and really, understand people's psychological, aspects of things as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that, with science, it's an ever evolving thing. And I mean, you could dive down the rabbit hole on training modalities and things like that have been around for 20, 30, 40 years, things that we know work exceptionally well. Supplements that have been researched exceptionally well over the years: creatine, caffeine, whey protein, things along those lines. But also, seeing the new stuff as it's coming down the pipeline, where it says, okay, we're going to read one article that says, hey, CrossFit's the best thing for you ever, and it does this, this, and this. But then 2 days later, you get an article that says, hey, this may cause injuries. It's kind of just dissecting through the BS and making sure you're using the credible research and, like Benn said, credible organizations to make sure we're giving our clients the most likely to be the best that's out there at that given time.
Yeah, definitely. I think, the waters can definitely get a little muddy sometimes as far as misinformation and just bad information that's out there. So, I think really look for research that's being put out by credible organizations, the American College of Sports Medicine, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, National Strength and Conditioning Association, all these organizations that really look at the why behind things. There's a lot of organizations out there that maybe they can give you a great workout, but are they really thinking about the long-term programming and really what the long-term goals are? And how is that program going to adapt over time to keep you making progress, as opposed to coming in once, getting your butt kicked, and then not having that consistency to, keep up with your practice, whatever modality it might be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think anybody who's listening to this that wants to deep dive on anything, just go to pubmed.gov and type in whatever you're interested in: intermittent fasting, weight training, testosterone replacement therapy, anything like that. And you can literally read thousands of research articles for free. Don't cherry pick your data. Don't find one article and believe that that's fact, or watch one documentary. Just make sure you back everything with some solid research, and just make sure you're open-minded to the things as they evolve. But yeah, Ben, tell us a little bit more about you. I know things have changed since the last time you were on the podcast. So talk a little bit about what you got going on at, the factory at Reach and Intuitive Roots, and just floor is yours, man.
Yeah. It's obviously been an interesting past year. A lot has changed since the last time we've spoken on the podcast. So so at the beginning of the year, I had spent pretty much the past decade in working in corporate fitness. That has always been kind of a staple for me, working at, pretty large companies and managing their on-site fitness centers and doing everything from, membership signups, evaluations, teaching fitness classes, doing personal training, doing a lot of employee wellness and like outreach programs, health fairs, blood pressure screenings, that type of thing. So I was pretty heavily involved in that for, like I said, since about 2009. Since about 2009. So yeah, I've always done some part-time work on the side of that, whether it was through Intuitive Roots and working with my own clients, or doing some, part-time classes or training at other gyms in whatever area I was in. So Reach Climbing and Fitness, which is state-of-the-art, really magnificent fitness center in the Bridgeport area. We're kind of nestled between like Conshohocken and Norristown, a little bit off the beaten path, right off Route 23. But so Reach just celebrated the 2-year anniversary, and they had a small bit of a fitness program there, which I was doing some core training classes and some bodyweight strength classes. And then the owner really wanted to expand more onto the fitness side of things. So next door, we built the factory, which is kind of the sister facility to Reach. So it's got a little bit of an interesting dynamic. It is a climbing gym as well, but we don't have the roped climbing. It's only the bouldering climbing. So if you're not familiar with climbing, it's essentially bouldering is just shorter climbs, harder sequences. You're just kind of climbing maybe 10 to 15 feet, and you have a mat under you if you fall, so you don't sprain or break an ankle. So it's a little bit more free, just because you're not harnessed in, and it's also a little more athletic because the climbs typically tend to be a little bit more strenuous because you're taking like the hard moves of a really tall climb and cramming them into a 10 to 15 foot route. So the gym has a lot of that type of climbing. And then we also have a pretty extensive fitness program, which I kind of oversee and manage. So we just opened at the beginning of the year. We offer over 20 fitness classes a week. I would consider us a very functionally based fitness program. So all of our classes are kind of up on your feet, moving, trying to, just engage specific movement patterns that are going to transition into, a more athletic type of training for people that are really looking to, push their fitness outside of the gym. So we do, and I do, I would say the majority of the classes. We have a few other awesome instructors as well. But we do everything from kettlebell classes to TRX to mobility to yoga, strength training specific classes, cardio HIIT based classes. So we're pretty much covering all dynamics. We don't have anything specialty in the form of like dance or Zumba or anything like that, but most of your fitness modalities we're covering. I just started doing a TRX kettlebell combo class this month, which is starting to gain a little ground. So it's really the style of training that I've kind of adapted myself to over maybe the past 7 years or so. Just kind of, a lot of kettlebell, a lot of free weight. That's mostly what our gym is. And then for kids, we also do American Ninja Warrior programs for kids. So we have a ninja space where the kids can kind of work on those skills and, transition into if they want to start competing and, like ninja type events. So we have a lot going on. Personally, with Intuitive Roots, I've expanded a lot into the virtual world in the past year. So with that, I'm doing some online nutrition coaching, as well as online personal training. So it was definitely essential during, the quarantine situation of last year. I had been doing a little bit of it, but I really kind of strongly, delved into that world last year. So was doing some, when I was still at my corporate position, I was doing pretty much an online class every day, different modalities, a lot of body weight stuff, given the situation. And then, got a little bit more into just doing one-on-one personal training with people, and then actually, got a little bit more of a formal nutrition training program in place. So I've been doing that a lot with people. And then I booked a library of 20 workouts, that all of which I was kind of doing during quarantine last year, which was your suggestion, which I need to thank you for that. But I recorded 20 of those workouts in 4K cameras, or 4K quality. So they're available on my website, intuitiveroots.com. So there's a bodyweight strength, a cardio conditioning, a Swiss ball strength, and a boot camp. So they're all, mostly body weight. The only equipment you would really need is a mat and a stability ball for the Swiss ball workouts, but that's pretty much it. So been very busy, been spending a lot of time and effort trying to get the factory up and running. We just opened at the beginning of the year. So yeah, it's been a lot going on. It's kind of been hit the ground running in 2021. It's been nice to start getting people back into the physical environment. I do really love the flexibility of the virtual world, but it has been nice to get that like in-person one-on-one coaching going again, and actually working with people in the fitness classes. There was definitely a part of that I really missed not being able to do for the past year. So it's been cool to kind of now try to balance that world with, now being back and doing in person, but still maintaining somewhat of a virtual load. So, that's been the balance of 2021 for me.
Yeah, man. And I want to just commend you for stepping up the way you did during COVID. I mean, Ben was literally on there every day providing free content for anybody who wanted it. And I mean, that's something a lot of trainers are trying to do during that time. I know we did the trainer bunch workout together with Stefano and Danielle, and it was just nice to see people step up. And it was great content. I'm glad you packaged it, because that's something that's going to benefit people going forward as well. But yeah, so that being said, things have changed so much. And as I was talking to you about recently, I'm now back into the outdoor training in person at home in retro fitness, and I'm still doing virtual about 50% of the time. But, where do you see the fitness industry going with, the post-COVID world? Do you think you're going to see virtual is going to stick around to stay? Do you think it's going to be one of those things where we're just going to go right back to the way it was? And then being at Reach there, where do you guys see from actual gym standpoint, where do you see the numbers going in the next, 6 to 18 months?
Yeah, well, I think as people are getting, more vaccinated, we're starting to see people like just feel more comfortable coming back to the gym. So I definitely think there's always going to be that demand for people that really want the in-person stuff. I think a lot of people adopted the virtual model and really like the way it kind of fits in with their lifestyle, like, no travel, convenience of being at home. You don't need a whole lot of equipment. But I think there's a lot of people who just don't really like the virtual stuff. So I think you're dealing with two kind of different dynamics now. And then some people that maybe, they want to be at the gym a couple times a week, but still want to be able to like take a virtual yoga class from home, like once a week or something like that. So I think the virtual market is still going to hold pretty strong. I think we've seen a lot of people now like realize like, okay, if I'm working from home all day, maybe I don't have that hour and a half to run out to the gym, but I can log in, do a fitness class, get my heart rate up, kind of, decompress from the workday a little bit, and then be able to, maybe eat a little lunch and get back into my workday, and not have to, worry about like, am I going to hit traffic on the way to the gym? So I definitely think there's a convenience of that. And then on the other end of it, I just think there's things that you get in that gym environment that you just can't replicate at home. Like, unless you're seriously investing in equipment and building out a nice space, it's hard to do things like, heavy deadlifts at home or barbell training. I know you had your own setup going, but I'm sure you can attest, it's not like an easy thing just to put a cage and barbell rack together. You got to put some time and effort into it. Not to mention that a lot of fitness equipment is just out of stock in a lot of places, even still. So, I mean, where I see things going, I think a lot of people had a lot of time to reflect over the course of the quarantine situation and really started thinking more about their health. I think being able to kind of slow down. I mean, obviously, some people still never stopped, but being able to slow down, think about their health more, and really realize the importance of like, okay, I've been neglecting this for a long time, and I've been so busy in my day to day. I've had a few months working from home now, and I realize the importance of really taking charge of my health. So I think that might be a silver lining for the fitness industry. A lot of people maybe just weren't active at all during quarantine, and now are realizing like I really need to get back in shape. Especially still being in this COVID era rather. It's just health is more important than ever now, making sure that you're getting your daily vitamin D, making sure that you're trying to keep everything like your blood pressure, your weight, all that stuff in check. Because when we're in the middle of a pandemic, the best defense, other than, the PPE is just keeping your body in the best health it can possibly be. So I think there's definitely going to be a kind of call to action for people really wanting to take charge of their health. So I think that's going to help both the virtual market and people that want to really do the in-person training. So as far as, things moving forward at Reach, we just continue to foresee people kind of coming back into that physical environment. We're hoping that there's not another COVID surge in the fall. I think right now it's just unknown, right? We just have to really keep trying to, be proactive, be positive, and really, start really thinking about continuing to build out the in-person stuff while still, looking to kind of maintain some kind of a virtual presence. So it's adaptability is really what it is. Just trying to be constantly adapting and really just gauging the situation for what it is and trying to give people, what they really need at the current moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a perfect answer. But I will also say that COVID has forced us trainers to really step our game up, because what we realize now is, sure, you go to New York City, you go to Philadelphia, you go to Miami Beach, there's a lot of great trainers on every corner, and they're like just readily and rapidly available. But if you live in some smaller towns and western Pennsylvania, North Dakota, South Dakota, you live in an area where there's not a lot of gyms, there's not a lot of people, you kind of might be at the mercy previously of whatever trainer happened to be at the gym. Like, this is who I have to use because it's the only trainer available in my area. Whereas now, virtually and things like that, you can work with anybody. Like, Benn's really good with kettlebells and TRX and mobility. And that's something that, not a lot of trainers excel at, and they don't have the certifications that you do. So you can work with Benn if you're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and you can do it on Zoom. Yeah, is it not the same as in person? Yeah, I agree. There is an element of in person which you're not going to get away from. But as more personal trainers become coaches, become psychiatrists, do a little bit of the life coaching type of thing, nutrition coaching, as we evolve to be more than the person that just counts reps at the gym, people are going to seek out the people that have the higher education, the people that have the experience, and they're not really going to care where they are. They'd be willing to do it on virtual, or they'd be willing to travel a pretty far distance, to work with a good trainer. So that's my challenge to any trainer listening to this: is elevate your game, because COVID has weeded out the average trainer. The average trainer is no longer. If you're just starting out, I encourage you to get with somebody like Benn or myself, somebody that has the experience, and pick their brain and just be there like a sponge, learning, and get yourself up to that next level. Because if you're just out there with the certification and you truly don't care, you're doing it as a job, you're gonna drown. I think COVID has weeded out the ability to be an average trainer in this industry.
Yeah, you always need the personal motivation there for sure. If you're going to someone who's not passionate about what they do, they're probably not going to be giving you their best. And that's something that you should, really look through. I mean, everyone kind of has their own presence through these like social media, platforms and everything we use. So, look for the people who are really passionate about what they do. Education is important, but you also want someone who's waking up in the morning, like really, excited to go, seek out whatever the day has to throw at them with, whether it's working with clients or building new fitness programs. So that's absolutely important. But yeah, I think you're right. I think now people are really like looking for that quality trainer, because they've seen a lot over the past year with, you know, different types of online programs, some of them being really good, some of them being garbage. So I think people, yeah, really want to see that you're passionate, that you have that experience, and that you're really going to listen to them. And that's one of the most important parts is, you know, every trainer or coach kind of has, I guess, an idea of what they want to provide someone based off the assessment, but really listen to what that person's looking for. And, you know, maybe what you think they're coming to you for, they might actually have some other goals in mind. So really just be open to listening to what the person really wants. And, you know, that's really what we're here for, is give people, you know, a little bit of what they need, but we really are here to kind of service what they're really looking to seek out through training.
Yeah, and people are also catching on. People are realizing that the Instagram influencers and the TikTok influencers that are shredded to the bone and things like that, they're catching on that they're not actually experts in the industry. They might look really good, but, you know, behind the scenes, they actually have their own coach, their own nutritionist, and things along those way. And they're putting out these exercise programs where they're just trying really hard to be different. And honestly, you know, Ben and I could probably sit in a room and we could probably create 20 really fancy looking exercises that you've never seen before. But are they effective? Probably not. You want to stick to the stuff that you know is tried and true. So, you know, people are catching on to the frauds that are out there that are taking thousands of dollars a month from people and pretending to be a coach. Because let's face it, our industry is not really well regulated. So it's our job to try and point out the quality information and provide that quality information, so anybody that's listening to this understands that.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, it's frustrating sometimes. You'll see some of these workouts get posted and it's just like, I can't even do, you know, like 4 or 5 of the movements in this program. And you're just telling the average person to, like, you know, with no screening, no, you know, sense of what their current capabilities are. And it's just like, here, just do these toe to bar hanging leg raises. And it's just some of the stuff. It's like, if you're working with a really advanced person and they have those qualities, great. But yeah, I mean, you know, you really always want something that is going to be customized to you. And if not, that at least has enough modifications that you can, you know, properly perform the movements and, you know, have progressions for each movement. So, you know, a lot of that is kind of falls by the wayside with some of the stuff you see advertised online, unfortunately.
Yeah, we have to be careful what we say, because people think we're automatically bad mouthing other industries, other people, and it's not the case. People that are in this industry for the right reason really care about people, and we don't want to see people getting hurt unnecessarily. Now, you can have the best coach in the world, perfect programming, and you can get hurt. And I've said that before, and people just need to know that mistakes happen, accidents happen, and joints and tendons wear out. So you can get hurt even with the perfect program, perfect coach, perfect nutrition, and everything. I just wanted to go into some statistics real quick, though, because this is not talked about enough, but the statistics just came out. During COVID, 2 out of 10 people gained 30 or more pounds, and 2 out of 15 people gained 50 or more pounds. So now you're talking 4 out of 25 gained between 30 and 50 pounds. That's scary in itself. But let's take that one step further. That's not talking about people that gain 10. It's not talking about people that gain 15. It's not talking about people that are 20. It's also not talking about the people that didn't truthfully respond to the poll. You know, people that just were embarrassed. They didn't want to put it out there. So you're talking 10 to 50 plus pounds people gained over the last 18 months. I got a precision nutrition certified coach on here today. And we've been doing this stuff for a long time. And this is the part of the podcast where I want to get into tangible things that are going to move people forward. So Ben, somebody comes up to you and they say, prior to COVID, I was working out 3 days a week. I was getting in the best shape of my life, but I just slacked. And just say this is an entire family, 5 people. They all gained 30 or more pounds during COVID. You know, where do they even begin? Do they just dive back in and try and do what they were already doing? Do they, you know, just start starving themselves? Like, where do they begin?
Well, I think what's, you know, the most important is to get everyone to figure out what their personal schedule is. That's really where I start with people. Like, what what level of commitment are you able to give me at this point in time? Because maybe it's only a day, maybe it's 2 days, maybe it's only a day, like that's fine, but we need to see what is your weekly schedule, what are all your priorities, commitments, what are the things that you just absolutely have to do, like work responsibilities, family, children, all that stuff. And I'll really try to get to people to just map out a schedule of their week, and we kind of see everything they have going on. And then we kind of look at like, all right, where can we start implementing small changes? So if it's someone that's coming for like a workout program, let's say, if they're, just looking for fitness, oftentimes it's both, but, then we'll say like, okay, we'll do an assessment, we'll see where their current level of fitness is. And then we'll say, all right, how many days a week, looking at the schedule, can you realistically commit? And then, what are you able to kind of go off and do on your own if I give you some things to do on your own? So that's really a starting point. We always kind of look at like, what's your goal here? Because a lot of times people have that open-ended goal, like I just want to lose weight and get back in shape. And we really need to help them etch that down into more of a tangible, measurable way of looking at it. So let's say like, okay, let's say you want to lose 20 pounds, how soon? And then I'll listen to what their, outlook is. If they tell me like, I want to do it in 3 weeks, then I have to be like, all right, well, we're going to need a lot more time than that. But I kind of just want to know, like, what is their realistic outlook? And then, we'll kind of talk about, okay, well, to do this the right way, and so we're not going to completely shock your body. We're just going to, start tracking your food. We're going to see what your daily calorie load looks like. We're going to see what your meals are looking like. I really, before we're even looking at calories, just want to get an understanding of like, what are they eating? How much of it is just processed food? How much of it is actually healthy whole foods? Are they eating a lot of vegetables? Like how much lean proteins are they getting? Like all that stuff. I'm just trying to get an overall picture. Once I have that, then we can start looking at like, all right, based off your schedule, like maybe just this week, we're going to start tweaking your breakfast. Can we do a little better there? Maybe you're used to just drinking a latte and like a bagel on the way to work. Can we at least make that bagel maybe like a protein bar? And like, can we make that sugary latte just, more of like a coffee, let's say, with like 1 cream and 1 sugar, and just start slowly scaling back. Similar to, I know you and Hannah were talking about this on the last Coffee with a Trainer, but it's really just kind of slowly taking people through that process. You don't want to completely pull the rug out from under their feet and like overhaul everything they're doing, because we know that people just won't adhere to something that's super strict like that. If you're going to tell them like, all right, one day they're eating mostly processed like fast food and things that are just convenient, and then like next week you want them to buy everything at Whole Foods and like start cooking all these meals. So I think it's, important to kind of see where they're at, get like a kind of few weeks sample size, see what they're eating, and then we can slowly make the changes. And also, like, I think one of the other most important things is, learning like what are their cooking skills, like what kitchen utensils do you own, because that's really going to dictate like, what meals can you make. It really all comes down to planning. That's whether it's fitness or nutrition program. Like if someone really wants to lose weight, I really try to get them planning out their meals, trying to learn a little bit of cooking skills, so you're not always relying on like food services or, delivery. I think that's just same thing with strength training. We're teaching people skillful movements, how to squat, how to deadlift, things that are just not, as simple as going through the motions. So I think teaching people skill-based things, as far as being able to cook, being able to prepare their own meals, and then, teaching them what's healthy and what's a good movement pattern in their workout is really at the base of it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things where, depending on that was cool that you said that, like your kitchen utensils and your cooking abilities and things like that, because I have a client who just is nonstop running, works 7 days a week, just grinding. He's 25, he's just killing it. But he gets meal prep. He goes and picks up his meals in Lancaster twice a week, and he literally just eats it. He's down like 56 pounds in the last 4 months, which is a
awesome.
huge number, which is unrealistic for a lot of people. But you got to remember, he started at like 380, so he's, down into the 320s now, and he's really working his way down. But, he decided, financially, it made sense for him to buy the meals and go out and do that. Ben and I talk about this every now and then. For those of you who don't know, me and Ben have been friends since we're 4 years old. So we've known each other literally forever. But we were just talking the other day. He posted this whole meal prep of what him and his wife did. And I said, how long does that take you guys to do? And he said, well, working together, it takes like 3.5 hours. And I know Meredith spends about 2 hours every Sunday preparing our meals for, Monday through Thursday. And, I'm fortunate that she prepares all the meals at night when I'm working late and things like that. So yeah, I mean, you're looking at a 1.5-hour commitment twice a week or a 4-hour commitment once a week, if you're going to do it right, to get all that stuff prepared. So then you got to start thinking about, am I willing to do that? Am I not? If you're not, you need to start looking at maybe meal prep for you, or you need to start looking at easier meals like smoothies for breakfast, something that you can do in 30 seconds and, just grill up a whole bunch of chicken and rice on a Sunday. And that's always a great option. And vegetarian options, that's pretty simple too. Take all the vegetables that you like and just skillet them on the grill and just, mash them up with a little bit of olive oil. I mean, you just got to look at simple things and what works for you and just gradually advance it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's definitely ways you can progress from just, getting completely like fresh raw vegetables and chopping them up. Like you can get things that are already pre-cut. You can get like bags of frozen vegetables. I try to give people like easy meal options that they know are one, nutritious, but two, aren't super hard to make. So things like big chicken and vegetable stir fries, making like tacos with ground turkey breasts and putting like some black beans and peppers in it. So you get, a little bit more like fiber and nutrients out of it. So, that's really the key is like, when you're making your own meals like that, is how can you keep it healthy, but also not be committing like a huge amount of time to it. So, it really comes down to, any time we're talking fitness or nutrition, it's sacrifice, and what level of sacrifice are you willing to make to get to where your goal is? Are you willing to, like you just said, put in that 2.5 hours in the kitchen on Sunday? And if that's not realistic for you, then maybe like, all right, you just figure out some easier meal options that are still healthy. Maybe you're just going to buy frozen diced chicken instead of like a fresh chicken breast that you have to like bake and go through that whole process. But the goal is to, gradually shift towards that. And, depending on what your disposable income is, like maybe you can afford some of these food services where you're getting fresh whole food delivered. That's a nice healthy meal. On the other end of it, I would say just try not to keep things in the house that are tempting. Have like that cheat day where you go out and you treat yourself to Dairy Queen, and go get a Blizzard where you're not actually bringing it back to the house and binge eating on it later. That's the creator of Precision Nutrition, John Berardi's big thing. He's like, if it's in your household, you or a family member will eventually eat it. Like if it's something that you're trying to avoid but you leave it around, like eventually you're going to eat it. So it's good to just, I'm not saying don't keep any treats at the house, but really limit the things that like are things that you might binge eat on. So there's obviously a huge psychological component to this, and I work a lot on that with clients. We try to establish like what would we consider like a trigger food for them that they know that they're just like really drawn to and that they just can't keep a lot of around because they know that they're going to binge on it. So, I think there's a little bit of that process to it as well. But yeah, just trying to get us some cooking skills, trying to be aware of things that are bad for you that you like struggle with, are two big parts of it.
Absolutely. Something I've been hearing about lately that I think is worth touching on, genetics. This is going down a little bit of a different path here, but there's a lot of people that have been saying to me recently, like, I've been fat my whole life, or everybody in my family's fat, or people in my family, have heart attacks. So what is the point? And I think I just thought this right now. It's good for you and I to talk about this, because you and I did not grow up fit. We were not always what you see today. We had struggles with, gaining weight and snacking and all of those things. So like, what role do you think genetics play, and how do you overcome that?
I think genetics definitely play a strong role in your overall body composition and your frame. Obviously, like you can do all the workouts in the world you want, but you're given the frame you're given. And for some people, it's just really easy to just have weight fall off if they're more of that ectomorphic body type, where they're just naturally like tall and lean, and then some people are more of like endomorphic, where it's just bigger bones, wider, hip angles, all that stuff. So I think genetics definitely play into it, but I don't think that they.
I think we lost Ben temporarily. You back? You're muted right now then. All right, so we were talking genetics with Ben. Ben, you can continue what you were saying.
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, genetics, they're going to dictate a lot of things as far as like certain physical attributes or maybe being like that top tier elite athlete. But at the same time, they shouldn't be, something that's completely going to like dictate your outlook on things. So you can always be stronger. You can always do things to get yourself leaner, to get yourself healthier, to get yourself in a better state of fitness. So genetics will definitely limit, like some people are just going to naturally be able to have those six-pack abs. Other people are going to have to work extremely hard for it, to, maintain that like 6% level of body fat that you really need to see those abs through. So I think a lot of it comes back to, what level of sacrifice are you willing to make? Because someone who just has those natural genetics, they're not going to have to really diet hard or really look too strongly at their nutrition, because they might naturally just be able to have their abs show, whereas someone else might have to really restrict their carbs, really keep their calorie load below a certain point. So it really becomes, what is it worth to you? What is your goal? Like, what is important to you? If having that six pack is a really important goal, then it's definitely something you can achieve, but you're probably going to have to put in a lot more sacrifice than someone who has a little bit better genetics in that regard. So that's kind of how I look at genetics and where they fit into the field of things.
Yeah, I think, and with continuation on that, you need to think back to science and how things are changing in our healthcare and things along those lines. Also, you need to be your own advocate. You can't just find an excuse and be like, man, my parents were always overweight, so I'm always going to be overweight. Check your blood work, and just because you're in a normal range does not mean you're optimal. So like if you have D3 that's 45, technically you're in the desirable range for D3. It goes from 40 to 100. I don't know who comes up with these numbers, but it's like chances are somebody that has a 95 D3 score is probably going to feel a little bit better, have stronger bones, have a stronger immune system than somebody that's 45. Same thing goes with, your testosterone, your phosphates, your B levels in your body, your creatine kinase in your body. Be your strongest advocate. If you go to your doctor, you get your blood panel and everything comes back and you look at your my chart and it's green, don't just stop there. Don't just say, hey, it's okay. I talk to Allie Gilbert a lot, and we talk about testosterone, and just something for me personally, and I'll admit this because it's really important for guys to know that it's okay if, you have less than optimal levels of testosterone, and you need to figure that out. And once you figure that out, you can stop your body from working against you. I had what was the low end of normal range, but I felt like crap. I was tired all the time. I had no energy in the gym. My workouts were terrible. I had no motivation to go to the gym. Libido was fine. My appetite was fine. The other stuff that goes with it was fine. But I would basically do almost perfect diets with lots of cardio and all that stuff. And dropping body fat was very, very difficult. And I've just seen in 3 months, I wouldn't even say I'm optimized yet, but I'm on my way to being optimized. And body fat's dropped 5%. I put on 12 pounds of lean muscle. So I'm doing the same thing I was 4 months ago, but I'm now working my way to being optimized. So if your body is working against you, everything's going to be harder, which is why I say get your blood panels done, get your blood work done, at least, once every 5 years if you're under 40. After that, probably more frequently, but just see what's going on and don't be ashamed, what society tells you about certain things. Just, work for yourself and be your own strongest advocate, and then surround yourself with a team of people. They're going to help you through the process. I mean, just changing my supplements up a little bit and going on testosterone replacement therapy, I've raised my testosterone about 46%, and my cholesterol's down, my triglycerides are down, my LDLs, which are the bad cholesterol, down, D3 is up, just by changing my diet a little bit, supplements, and just, working with TRT. But like, I don't know how to do that stuff. So I got some coaches and some doctors that understand that. So it's one of those things where, be your strongest advocate. If you feel like crap, you need to go out there and find out why.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a strong advocate of getting at least that once a year blood work done at your doctor. It's for all the things you just stated, like knowing where your, vitamin levels are at, but also knowing like your cholesterol levels, what is your resting blood pressure, what is your, fasted blood glucose, like knowing all those things. Because then if you are, experiencing like certain health symptoms, you can at least maybe like look at like, okay, like your cholesterol is really high or your blood sugar is really high. And then you can start looking at the diet. I will say, unfortunately, like your primary care doctor is probably not going to be able to give you the most in-depth analysis on nutrition or fitness. They're really, mostly just trying to look for screening you for major diseases that you might have, which is, don't get me wrong, extremely important. Like you want to know if you're at a higher risk for certain cancers and things. So I definitely highly recommend the yearly checkup and getting the blood work done. But I think to your point, like look at what the ranges are. Just because you're within normal range, if you're at that lower end, really that's when you need to seek out other health professionals, like your trainers, like your nutritionists, like people that can actually help with, more physiological processes, like the testosterone therapy and those types of things. So yeah, I think it's a great starting point to get that yearly checkup and get that blood work done. But then be able to take those results to someone that can further analyze them and really like understand your lifestyle, understand the stresses of your daily life, what things could be causing certain elevated hormone levels or, whatever the case may be. And I think a lot of it goes back to, which we've touched on all the time, but the two very overlooked things: what is your level of stress and how much sleep are you getting every night? Because they're going to heavily, heavily impact the overall picture. Even if you're working out a lot, even if you have a good diet, if you're running, if you're burning the candle at both ends and you're not getting the sleep you need, that recovery you need, and you're not doing anything for your mental health, it's going to just start affecting your physical health eventually at some point. So, also seek out help for your mental health and well-being as well.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where don't accept societal norms. If you're 60 years old and 2 years ago you were hiking 15 miles a day on the weekend, and all of a sudden you can't do that anymore because you don't have the energy, you're not a normal 60-year-old. Don't accept the fact that, a lot of 60-year-olds are more tired than they were when they were 40. Don't accept that. If you were running up those mountains 2 years ago and all of a sudden something changed, you need to find out why. And you just need to get in there and determine what's going on. Think of yourself and where you were at. That's where it started with me. It was easy for me to say, hey, maybe I'm just naturally tired, because you talk to my family and they're tired all the time. So maybe you think it's genetics, but I know me personally, 5 years ago, I felt a lot better than I did 6 months ago. So I decided I'm going to look into it. And, they come back with these things and you're like, well, aren't I a little too young for, low testosterone or whatever? Then you find out that actually 37% of men that are 30 years old are testosterone deficient. And you're like, wow. But most men are afraid to do anything about it because they're like, it's demasculinizing. You're like, oh, that can't be me. I can't admit that I need help. We're not all alphas, and some of us need a little bit of help, and somebody that's doing all the right things could still need the help. And it's important that you address those things, especially like Ben said, mentally. Man, why is it so hard to ask for help when you're stressed out and you're upset and you're thinking about ending your own life or you're depressed? Like, talk to somebody. It's nothing embarrassing about that. Like, there is way more people that are messed up in this world than aren't. Just remember that. Everybody got something going on.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I wanted to just, kind of end with a little bit of just kind of fun stuff. You and I have been training for a long time, and let's just talk about some of that stuff when we first started training that we thought was really the most important thing to working out, or the most important thing to nutrition, that we find is no longer true, and how we got to the point of debunking that.
Oh man, I mean, I don't even know where to start. Are we going back to like the early teenage years when we got into lifting? Because I think, oh man, I mean, there's a lot to dissect there, but I guess just more, more, I guess, calculated programming and recovery and all those things. Now we know that we can't go hard, X amount of days in a row and expect to be able to still produce results. I think that's the easy one, is that, we've talked about that go hard or go home mentality all the time, like not programming recovery days into your week, or, always like pushing to your maximum effort every workout. I think that's one of the things I really like about the certified functional strength coach system that Mike Boyle has put in place. It's a really just well-designed system that, looks at certain movement patterns, programming them from the, more strenuous compound lifts first, transitioning to some of the smaller, more smaller muscle groups at the end of the workout, and then breaking things into trisets. So you're getting like some lower push pull, and like just those dynamics of like, are you balancing out, as much pulling as you are pushing? Are you, looking at things like your flexibility and your joint mobility? Like, are you looking at your joint health? Are you doing things like foam rolling and all these recovery tactics? So that's probably, my biggest thing. I think like you and I, like a lot of young men, when you first get into workouts, you just want to see the results. You want to get big. You want to impress the ladies, or, other people that you're looking to impress. So I think that is a lot of, what goes into it in the early days. And then you just really have to find someone, it's always good to have a mentor in the gym, whether it's a workout partner or someone that's been doing it longer than you, if it's not actually going to be like a trainer or coach themselves. So.
Yeah, I mean, I have 3 that are kind of rapid fire. The belief that chest and biceps were the only thing that mattered.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yep.
That's not true. Honestly, I think the 2 biggest exercises to build like well-rounded strength are deadlift and squat. Until you execute those 2 exercises, if you're trying to put on mass, honestly, nothing really matters until you get those 2 executed. That's the big one. Number 2, not all calories are created equal. When we played football, we're like, we're going to get jacked, man. We would eat pizza. We'd eat tasty cakes. We'd eat Rice Krispie treats, gallons of chocolate milk, because we wanted to get big. We got big. We also got fat.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the last one, which I think, anybody listening to this needs to hear, but it's like, I had this idea when I was like 13. I went to Body Works with my mom, and it's not even there anymore. It's in Temple, Pennsylvania. And I hired this trainer. I didn't even hire him. His name was Larry. Real nice guy, old school bodybuilder. Once a month, I met with Larry, and he gave me a workout program. And I'm like, man, I felt I was hot shit. I was like, I got a personal trainer, and I'm 13 years old. I'm going to get jacked out of my mind. And I thought I was hot shit. The personal trainer is not the one going to get you jacked. It's what you're doing the other 23 hours of the day, the rest of the, making sure that you're following what they're telling you. Yes, they can definitely be good advocates for you and help you move forward. But hiring a great coach does not guarantee great results. So that's a big one.
Yeah, obviously, ultimately the onus falls on you. So, you definitely want to put a good team in place around you, have people that are knowledgeable that can give you the best advice. But at the end of the day, like, they can't do the workout for you. They can't make those food choices for you. It falls on your shoulders. So, you're going to get the best advice. You're going to be given, the best instruction if you put that good team around you. But it's really a matter of like, even if you're working with a trainer, like, you got to show up and be mentally present. Like, you can't just show up and kind of be going through the motions. Because if you're training with me, if you're training, with you, or any good trainer, like, you're going to be doing some skill-based movements that you're going to have to be mentally there for. It's not just like all right, we're going to sit here mindlessly and work through these reps. Like, you're going to apply tension, you're going to be engaged, you need to be mentally present for a lot of the workouts. So I think that all goes into it. I think sometimes some people, they think just showing up and they can just kind of like mail it in, but it really comes down to, you got to put in the effort. You got to put in the effort when you're in the gym. You got to put in the effort when you're outside of the gym, and really tie that all together if you really want to get the results that you desire. It's always a full circle campaign. So
yeah, and I mean, what you look at what the team is. The team could include your spouse or your best friend or your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, your trainer. Maybe you have a nutritionist. Maybe you have a chiropractor. Maybe you have a massage therapist. Maybe you have a regular coach, like a business coach, an accountant. Just in general, if you want to live a good life, you got to think about who does the things extremely well that you're not super good at, or what do you need to keep elevating yourself. Those are the people you need to find their way into your life. And like I said, you can easily do it. Like if Ben lived right down the street, if you lived 5 minutes away, you and I could go to the gym 4 days a week together, work out. Guess what? You and I are going to get ridiculous results because we know what we're doing. We're working out together 4 days a week. But you need to find that support system, whether you have to outsource it, hiring somebody, or whether it's right in your inner circle. Find those key variables that you're missing. And I think that's a good stopping point for what we were going to cover today. Ben, tell us about your 20 workout video on demand library, a little bit more about that, where people can find you, and any closing thoughts you might have.
Yeah, so if you go to intuitiveroots.com, it is in the build the body section. So you'll see it labeled as the 20 workout on demand fitness library. Essentially it's 20 bodyweight workouts. If you're new to fitness, it's kind of a great way to just be able to do a home workout program to kind of get things going for you. I also find it great for people who might be a little more seasoned of an exerciser that are looking for maybe a good travel program if they're on the road, if you want to get some workouts in on vacation, or if you're on like a work business trip maybe. So everything's very minimal equipment. The Swiss ball strength is the only one that you really actually need a physical piece of equipment. Everything else is 100% body weight. So yeah, it's it's a great way. Like I said, if you're new, there's plenty of modifications, so it's welcoming to all levels. So if you're really interested in that virtual experience, I also offer in-person training in the Philadelphia area, both at the factory. I do some in-home, as well as I have a little private studio at my residence. So I have some in-person options as well. And then if you're interested in classes, I do them Monday through Friday at the factory, all times a day. If you go to thefactoryatreach.com and look at the schedule, there's a description of every class there. And then on Instagram, intuitive_roots. Also, you can find Intuitive Roots on Facebook. And yeah, I'm trying to get back to more regular posting. Since I've started at the factory, I've been really, just had a lot going on. So, but I've been trying to upload some more, regular content through all the social media platforms. Yeah, and I guess I'll just close with, it's 2021 now. We had quite the crazy 2020. I think a lot of us had that time to reflect on what's most important and think about things like our family, our health, and what we're really passionate about, what drives us. So whatever it is, just always remember your health is really at the most important thing, because you can't really do anything in life if you're not at your most optimal health. So really, make sure you invest in yourself, do what you need to do to keep yourself healthy, whether it's working with a trainer, whether it's online mediums, family support, whatever you need to just, really live that active, healthy lifestyle, and just kind of keep your mind and body in that, good, positive place, so you can keep doing all the things in life that you're passionate about. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you guys on Ben's following, I'm in the Berks County area. So anybody's looking for in-person training out that way, you can find me www.formalfitnesstraining.com. And I'll just close by saying that I agree with Ben completely with what he just said. And I would also add that you need to constantly guard your life from toxic and negative things, whether that's 100%. The news, whether that's people. Just always work towards, a more positive life. And when you're negative, that's okay, own it, but always work towards a more positive life, because you're never going to regret that.
Absolutely.
Positive people, positive places, positive things. That's really going to change your life for the better. Ben, as always, man, it's always good catching up with you. Thanks for spending an hour with us. And until the next time.
Thanks for having me, Mike. This was great. I will talk to you soon. Take care, and thanks for listening, everybody.
All right. See you, bro.
See you.